Welcome. It's episode 29 of Whole Lot of Wolves, season 6. I'm Danny Paletti. Josh Buckley is off tonight. Fun story. We originally had to delay the recording because Josh was in Mexico for his anniversary because he loves his wife or something. While he was there, he was sending us various pictures from the pool, various drinks he was drinking, all the stuff you normally partake in when you're visiting Mexico on a vacation. Another thing many people partake in while visiting Mexico is contracting a stomach bug. So that's why Josh isn't here. So I've got Brian Donnelly from Charlotte Wolves with me tonight. How's it going, Brian?
Great. Good to see you. Thanks for having him back on. Actually, when you emailed me, I was asking if he was having an extra hip attached, maybe a bionic arm this time.
Yeah, who knows? He'll be more machine than man by the time we get to the championship. You and I have never really gotten to connect over our shared history with Ultimate Frisbee. You've mentioned it a couple of times. But
yes. But no,
tell me, this is the end of a season which no one needs to talk about. So let's learn more about each other.
I would love that. Yeah, no, I started playing in high school and we didn't have a team, and like some of my friends just introduced me to it, and we played all through high school. We did tournaments around the greater New England area because actually, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been here for almost 20 years, but I am from right near Burlington, Vermont. Very excited for American soccer. Got my Vermont Green FC jersey on today.
Oh, excellent.
Which they are very exciting, and played all 4 years of college as our varsity, air quotes, varsity team. Right. And like loved every minute of that. We actually went to the national championships in Canada, went to undergrad in Canada. You just kind of pay the registration fee. You don't have to like get yourself in. So like did national championships there. We probably would have done okay if we weren't, primarily hungover for most of our games, but It was a good time. I didn't really stick going too much after college because once you start working, it was hard to keep the schedule going, and then kept getting hurt. And then every time I got hurt, it was harder to get back, and then took a long break. But
yeah, wow, you're giving me flashbacks to my entire Ultimate career, which probably lasted longer than yours, to my own detriment in a lot of ways. But yeah, organizing teams and lots of weekends over the summer spent on the road to travel tournaments, ingesting various substances while trying to be also some kind of athlete.
Yep.
Also, of course, all of our friends of the pod and whatnot will know, of course, that you attended the game in Annapolis when Wolves were over here, and just thought it was a good time to reflect on that and look at what happy people we were back then.
Look at that. The optimism. That was pre-season too.
Yeah.
Before it could all go to hell.
Imagine if we could talk to ourselves from back then. What would we even tell ourselves to expect over the following 18 months or so?
Oh, yes. You don't want to ruin the mystique of going through it, but I think you probably just have to remind yourself that the out of darkness cometh light is probably a lot to say. It is honestly, it's part of the journey as a newer. Obviously, you became a fan in 2019, like right around the COVID time. A newer fan, I've only experienced Premier League football. This is part of the journey of a non-Big Six club. I chose to support a non-Big Six club, knowing that there would be ups and downs and not really knowing what that would feel like. But now we get to experience that. And the plus side, relegation battle is so much more interesting than just being shit. Like it is being like a Carolina Panthers fan for the last 9 of the last 10 years, or watching the Hornets for the last 20 years, except for the last month and a half. But they're just terrible. Maybe we'll get a good draft pick. Like that's not exciting. At least here you can say, we can ruin someone else's day, and then maybe when we go down, next year could be fun. We'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah, I know. I remember explaining that to several people, both around the time of the the Super League discussion, and then also later, talking about like Wolves just kind of languishing and how it's like, well, I don't know how much you think it would be fun to like be in a league where you can't get relegated, where like,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems great if you're one of the better teams and you're
Yeah.
winning so often, like win a Super Bowl every 5 to 10 years, like somewhere
Hmm.
in that range. But if you're just bad for
Yeah.
40 years,
Yeah.
there's no escape. And
No
you
fucking
might
escape.
have an owner, like, for me more locally, someone like Dan Snyder, who just
Mm,
you can't dislodge unless he does something to piss off the other owners. You just can't get rid of him because he's still making money, still
yep.
selling tickets, still selling t-shirts, and
Hmm.
the pain just goes on for what feels like generations.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely can imagine like all of our friends in Pittsburgh, what it's like
Yes.
to be like a Pirates fan and just know like you can't do it. And there's never going to be a protest in the streets about how crappy the Pirates are. It's just a different environment.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we ought to talk about the game. Um, yeah, sorry that we didn't get you on for our last show when, of course, we were talking about 2 wins. Unfortunately, the train had to pull into the station at some point, and
Mhm.
this was the time. So Wolves won, Liverpool 3. Wolves somewhat unceremoniously dumped out of the FA Cup. Did we all get our hopes up too much? Did you get your hopes up too much? I guess I'll ask.
We all did. We all saw the glimmer. But I think being 2 times in 1 week that we had to play Liverpool, you did. I think the way I felt was we got through the first one. I was just shocked that we won the first one. As soon as we finished, I'm like, well, we're not doing that again. Like they're gonna learn their lesson, and they did. They were kind of lackadaisical in the first game. They didn't really feel like they got out of third gear, and they put it. They found that gear in the second game. And I don't feel like we got throttled. It was a solid, but yeah, that was a more traditional. Even when we play well, they're still better than us game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So 6 changes. Coming in, Johnstone out saw Mosquera in for Doc, Toady in for Krejci, Hugo Bueno in for Wolfa, Bellegarde in for Andre, who was suspended, Tolo in for Armstrong. That's a
Mhm.
lot of changes. It is the cup, but given that we don't have much to play for the rest of the season, we'll talk about chances that we might actually do the impossible. But how are you feeling about all those changes from a side that beat Liverpool 3 days before?
I think I was largely okay with it because most of those changes were to bring you back to the normal side, to the first 11. Because I mean, I think when you looked at the 2 matches, the lineups were kind of set in a way you would think, which was prioritize the cup, with the exception obviously Johnstone going for the cup, but prioritize the cup, put in your competitive, but some of your not top 11s as your league win. And now the fact that they won kind of changed the calculus a little bit because then we all kind of thought, yeah, well, we'll fight and we'll probably lose 1 or 2-0 or something in the first game, and then we'll really come get them at the cup. But from a changes perspective, I think most of them made sense. You're trying to get to that more structured one in a way that you would still try and fit into the same thing. Plus, again, that was a 4-day turn, Tuesday to Friday. It's just not a lot of time to keep guys going in both games.
Yeah, I think that for me the main ones are Johnstone. If you're going to say that like a cup run is kind of the only thing that we can achieve, I don't know. People might see that as pretty impossible regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like I know that often you have a cup keeper, but let's be real, the goalkeeping department probably needs to be refreshed entirely in the summer
Yeah,
anyway. I don't
yeah.
know that we need to necessarily be keeping anyone happy.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is some tiny chance that Wolves can make it to Wembley, in this
Yeah.
terrible season, it might be worth it to just keep Jose Sa in. Now they did say that he, had this ongoing ankle injury, so it was always planned for him to take the night off. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not entirely sure that I buy that 100%. And the other one is probably Toady coming in for
Totally.
Krejci, who I think
Yeah.
had a very good game against
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool, and also like had his own little rest before that. And I just wonder if we could have kept it a bit stronger. And I
Yeah.
think there's another conversation potentially have about Tolu where again, the sort of pressing that we're trying to do, it seems, under Rob Edwards, he's
Mm-hmm.
not quite
No,
capable of doing. I don't know. I think you could go either way.
I would definitely agree with Tolu because yeah, it just feels like he should be better than it is, and maybe once he starts hitting it, I think there's definitely a player in there, but it just hasn't really been working in the structure. And I would agree with you that when he came into the start, I was like, yeah, it changes the style so much more.
Yeah, well, I would say that in that first half, I was already starting to see the see the walls closing in around us on that game, where it
Yeah.
just felt like we definitely weren't at it the way we were a few days prior, and not like the other, recent league games, which have been decent. I don't know, did you get the same feeling that we just kind of weren't at it?
Yeah, I think it was more. I mean, you could kind of see the fact that there's only really 14 people here, maybe 15 if you put a stretch on it. And I think it was starting to get worn down. I think I was taking a look at it. There was it 8 matches in 4 weeks. And if you could tell, I think they kind of used a lot of that emotion and that energy in the first one. And as much as you try to get back to it, you kind of beat. And it didn't help. Again, Liverpool learned their lesson, and they weren't going to, like, when they were at a 5, they took it up to an 8, and we were trying to maintain our 8, but couldn't quite get to there, and faded it back down. And you can kind of tell the difference pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might be being a bit overly optimistic again, for this game, where we didn't even have a shot on target in the
Yeah.
league game until the first goal. So it's not like we were crushing it in that game, but it was just, it was kind of just more about the energy wasn't quite there, which is a little disappointing also, again, because of these changes that got made. These are players who, presumably would have been somewhat disappointed to be left out in the league game, and now here's your chance. And this was the game we were going to target. Maybe I don't know what was said behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
Anyway, halftime was 0-0, and I guess I'm just going to bring it up for the rest of the season as if it keeps happening. Is this Rob Edwards' superpower? Is going into 0-0?
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, because again, we don't score a lot, so at this weight, by comparison to where we were under Vitor, going into a half 0-0 for a good chunk of the season felt like a win.
Yeah.
So it just at least gives you a chance to do something. Because this soccer's a weird sport. You can be the worst team for 89 minutes and have something fluky happen and win. So just keeping it close is, the old pun from the G.I. Joe, is half the battle. It's just like it's just maintaining yourself as a touching distance to make sure you can do it.
Yeah. Well, after the half, Liverpool turned up the intensity, like you said. Robertson in the 51st minute, Salah in the 53rd, Curtis Jones in the 74th, 3 goals in about 30 minutes. Was it inevitable that Liverpool were going to find us out at some point in this second time we play them in a week?
Yes, that was 100% inevitable. It was frustrating that it was 2 in like 2 minutes, because that's where you really felt that intensity dip. And I mean, we've talked about this in the past, where it's been so frustrating this year, where it feels like every time that intensity drops a little, we get punished with a goal. We're like on better teams, or maybe more lucky teams or different teams, go down for a minute, and then, the one goes over the bar. One, a good shot, but it kind of like squibs wide. Every time we lose a little focus, it feels like we concede. And that's been the story of a number of our losses throughout the year of, we played great for like 89 minutes, and then for 30 seconds, this guy looked the wrong way, and a goal came over the back of his head.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also was thinking, I guess, earlier this week, just about how when you have a team that is so poor, has been so poor for so long, and has not been assembled in a particularly good way or sustainable way, that when you play a team twice in a week, you have very little to change and still have it be any good. And that's kind of like what we were talking about with the lineup, where sure, you can bring in Tolu for Armstrong, but you can now completely change the way you're approaching it. And it's not like we have 3 different ways of playing where we can score goals. We're not even certain we have one way that we can play to score goals
consistently.
Whereas like a team that is good and well constructed with lots of good players, like Liverpool, I mean, they've struggled, but they have lots of expensive players. They can potentially have a starting 11 that scores goals and then also a different starting 11 that also scores goals. And that's not something Wolves are even like, I don't know, it might be years since we've had that.
Oh, that'd be a long, I mean, that's always, I've kind of had this chat with some of my friends of like, that's the tiers of the league. And that's what the money does, is that like the big clubs, save Tottenham, but the big clubs, they have 22 big six quality players. We have like 4.
Yeah.
And basically the number of big six quality players you have will basically tell you where you are in the table. Like, Bournemouth probably has, I don't know, 7 or 8. So that's why they're like mid-table. But Man City has probably 25. So
we used to have like, I'd say like, I don't know, 13 or 14 maybe in the Nuno days. I mean, he also liked a small squad. So that was partly by choice, but it was like starting 11 was great. And then there's like 2 or 3 that you could bring on, but also he really didn't like to make that many changes.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's been hard to say that like we've had lots of subs who could do something. There were brief moments, like in the sort of changing of the guards between Ruben Neves and João Gomez. There's that period where João Gomez couldn't get in. So you do actually have a player who can come on and make a difference. But yeah, it's been a while. Truly a consolation goal for Hwang Hee-chan, now back from injury. Received it directly from Sam Johnstone after a save. Pretty neat finish, too. Are you at all excited about Hee-chan coming back? He asks in a loaded sense.
In a loaded way. I know you're a Hee-chan appreciator, and I am too, because he seems like always the thing that says he seems like such a nice guy, and he tries so hard. But it's just, like I think I'm ready for it to move on. But I'm happy that it happened for him. I hope he can find a little form before the end of the year, because I do like Hee-chan, but I'm not sure he's there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely in the camp of ready to move on. I think that, it's time for probably both the player and the club. Granted, I'm sure that, if he stayed, he would do pretty well in the championship, but I think that like a bigger rebuild is needed than that. But as sort of a playing devil's advocate, I will point out that Matheus Mane, since he came in to start against Liverpool, actually, in the first game in the league, has played 1,254 out of 1,350 minutes. So that's almost all of the 90s, and then a few where he came in, and that includes the cup as well. The only one where he was significantly rested was against Shrewsbury, where we were already up several goals, and he came on for the last 30 minutes, I think. So the question is, if you're going to rest him, which I guess, first of all, do we need to rest him? We've only got what, 8 more games left? Do we need to rest the kid?
Probably not. I mean, he's 18. Think, as we talk about our young man athletic endeavors, think what we could do at 18. Now it's like I played weekend pickup soccer for an hour and a half, but I'm aching for days afterwards. Step in a hole and I'm hobbling for like the rest of the week. He's 18 years old. He's got legs for days. And the plus side, after this match, I'm like, there's like another match. Well, there's match Monday and then another one for like 4 weeks. So he'll get a nice long break in the middle. I don't like, he's not getting called up for, I don't know, he might get called up for an under 21s, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Have they made a choice on where if he's gonna do Portugal or England?
My understanding is that has not been settled yet. Most recently, he's been with England, but Portugal are trying to make a push to have him play for them. So I have no idea what is more likely, except that history says that he's been with England much more than with Portugal.
No, hopefully he takes a nice little break and gets a nice little rest for that period. And then you can, at that point, there's 7 games left that are basically once a week, run it through.
Yeah. So counter argument, there's a lot talked about just the number of minutes in a player's body. I remember they talked about this with a few of the players who like come out of, I think, like Belgium, where they tend to start young. Like if you're in one of the big teams and you're a youngster with promise, you're more likely to get first team minutes because of the level of the league than like if you're a youngster in the Premier League, you're most likely playing on the bench. So they're tending to get like significant minutes at a younger age, and that those players tend to burn out more quickly. Just because like the accumulation of minutes in your body. I think Yuri Tielemans might have been one that they talked about that with. Like they said like how many like 90s he had played before the age of 20, and it was like it was an insane number. Anyway, I just wonder about that. And also, if you're going to replace him, it might be the case that He-Chan is the only reasonable replacement. And I think that that's kind of like tying together the couple threads there is like, we don't have tons of options. And I'm not here to say that He-Chan is like a deserving deputy or needs to be starting in front of him. But in terms of switching out like for like and continuing to do the same kind of pressing that we're doing, maybe that's a switch that we see.
Yeah, maybe. It's entirely possible. You're right. He's probably our closest like for like.
I have not convinced
you. Maybe.
I'm not sure I've convinced myself.
Yeah, because like I look at like Yamal on Barca and think about how many minutes he's going to have before he's 20. Yeah, and I totally understand because he's putting like 45 game, 50, 60 games a season at a 17 or is he 18 now? He might be 18 now.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, same idea. Maybe start a little later. Maybe if there wasn't this big long break in the middle, I would probably agree with you of like, hey, we got to give this kid a little bit of a break. And I was getting worried about it before this week, but now with that nice long break and it's 10 days between the last game and this game, and then 4 weeks, hopefully that should be enough to kind of let him chill. Yeah. And then ride out the season.
Yeah. And I mean, it also obviously all comes down to genetics in a big way, but there's so much sports science out there knowing exactly what players are doing to their bodies, like from week to week. So yeah, we'll have to see. And I agree that I just don't see Rob Edwards dropping him. And that might be partly sort of trying to sell him on the chance of staying. Because I mean, I think that there's a very decent chance that he ends up moving on either, because the club want to cash in or because his agent wants to cash in or because he wants to. But, maybe the best way to try to sell him on staying is, to show that he's going to be a centerpiece of this team. I've seen people say build the team around him. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with building the team around such a young player who like, imagine that we quote unquote build the team around him and he does very well, but we are still like not in the automatic promotion spots next season. And then a big team comes for him in January. We've like basically put him in the shop window. We built a team around a player who's a child.
Yeah. And I think when people say that, I think what they really mean is he'll be make sure he's one of the like 4 people that stay, is that there's going to be a rush out the door and just don't let him go. Right. There's maybe not so much build around him as like, there's probably only going to be 5 or 6 dudes left. Make sure he's one of them. Don't let the last one standing be like, I don't know, Santi.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. All right. A few little extra points that, I accumulated since the game was actually played. Of course, there's a new championship playoff format. 2 more teams have been added to the playoff spots starting next year. So now 3rd through 8th instead of 3rd through 6th. How much of a difference does this make? Do we care?
We might, honestly. I am not very confident that we will be built in a way to go up in the top 2 spots. All right. Which means that then you get another bite at the apple. Do I like it from like a fan perspective? Not really. Like, I don't think I want like the 8th best team potentially making it all up to just be obliterated the following season, because like the gap between the 3rd best team in the championship in like Wolves is pretty big. I mean, what on Transfermarkt, we're at like 350 million on our squad value, and Middlesbrough is like 150, I think. I have to double check that. It is orders of magnitude different. Right. So if you're like let's see who's in eighth right now.
Oh, good
Well,
question. I should have
probably
looked this
it might actually be like Birmingham City, but if you're that's like actually with money. But if you're like
Eighth is
Queens Park
Derby County
Rangers,
currently.
Derby County, oh geez, they're gonna have a struggle with their finances. But say it's like Queens Park Rangers, and all of a sudden they get thrown up again, they're gonna beat the Derby County record pretty
Yeah.
instantaneously. So it can help us because I have my concerns we're gonna languish if maybe Nathan, the new she, better than the old she, will have some good ideas, but it's hard. Really depends on who else goes down with us, I guess.
Yeah, I was chatting with some people in one of the various Wolves group chats that I'm part of that I
Mhm.
just think like I don't know, I think of it from like the perspective of like what do I see as being like likely? It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you look at, our chances to stay up this season. A team that's
Mhm.
sitting in 20th like almost certainly not going to stay up kind of regardless of what the point spread is, and we're seeing that in the
Mhm.
odds that even if we had another couple of wins this season, I don't think that like significantly improves at this stage of the season our
Oh
chances
man.
of staying
Yeah.
up,
Mhm.
because it's not just getting the wins, it's also getting the wins as a difference to the teams that are above you. So I see it as, I think this is kind of what you're saying, is like almost a risk to us as fans,
Mhm.
because in the event that Fosun slash Nathan Shee continue to be boneheads about
Yes. Yeah.
about recruitment, then they might see this as a way to spend less, to say it requires less of us
Mhm.
to get into the promotion places, and that might mean that as a knock-on effect we're not actually prepared to be promoted. So like,
Yes.
like I see the seventh and eighth teams as adding, like, for the whole team, for all 22 whatever teams, like an extra, like, I don't know, 1 to 2% chance that any given team gets promoted. And that's
Yeah.
not significant. Like, that shouldn't change your math about how you invest. But if a stupid owner says, that actually changes our, it's like it's a third more.
Yeah.
There's
It's the
50% more.
it's the AL Central effect of soccer, where
Right.
if you're the Cleveland Guardians owner, you're like, I don't have to beat the Yankees and the Blue Jays. I
Right.
gotta beat the Tigers and the Twins to get to the playoffs. And all I care about is getting to the playoffs, because then crazy stuff happens. So you
Right.
build a team to beat the Twins.
Yeah.
And no matter what, none of the other teams in the AL East are going to be that good. So yeah, I completely agree with you. Um,
Also, I love you bringing up, no one wants to see the eighth place team in the playoffs. Spoken like a person who has watched MLS during their lifetime.
Oh yeah, so as a team who yes, exactly, is a really good example. I got excited about Charlotte FC's second season making it into the ninth place playoff game. It was fun as a fan because you got to go to the playoff game, but you're like, this isn't going to go anywhere. This team isn't actually very good.
Yeah, I will bring up this stat for as long as I live, probably. I still cannot believe that DC United somehow had the Golden Boot winner in Christian Benteke
Yeah,
2-3 seasons ago,
2 seasons ago. Yeah.
and still missed out on the playoffs despite basically everyone getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, because it's like, is the ratio in MLS higher than NBA? It's close. It is. No, NBA I think is higher now because they have a weird play-in system now too. But yeah, 18 was it? Yeah, 9 in each conference. 18 of 30 teams make it to the playoffs. That's wild.
Yep. All right. Well, guess it's time for a temperature check. Are Wolves officially down, or is there a chance?
So you say there's a chance. I actually have Opta open as we speak.
So do I.
0.12% probability of from the supercomputer.
Wait, I was talking over you. Say it again.
Oh, is it 0.12%?
Yep, that's right.
According to Opta's supercomputer. Yeah, they're pretty much.
Which is a little bit worse than like 1 in 800.
Yeah.
So like I take a certain amount of like, as another data guy, I'm a little bit more optimistic than that. I think that you would not have to run the simulation of the rest of the season 800 times to find
Oh, what were they
one
saying?
time where Wolves stay up.
I would agree with you because because Spurs and Forest are so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
like,
just so bad.
it could still be like 1 in 100 or 1 in 200 even. Like that feels reasonable. Anyway, who am I to argue with the supercomputer?
Yeah, but I would say that it gives you such a little glimmer that it's fun. And now, because it's not going to happen, we get to ruin other people's day, especially because our run-in is we're playing West Ham, we're playing Burnley, we're playing Spurs, we're playing Leeds, we're actually playing all the teams ahead of us. So if we go on a run, it's going to get fun real quick because you will actually be able to see that movement towards it. Now, if we start losing those games, it's going to get real depressing really fast. But it was depressing before. So anything coming up from the bottom is fun. I mean, at this point, we could get to 18th. And then what would it be? Then at least have something with a little bit of solace to it.
Well, Josh feels very strongly that we're going to finish above Burnley. So,
yeah, well, they're for a bad team, they're pesky. I have my worries about the Burnley game.
I mean, like, I don't know. Actually, this is a good question. I almost hope that there's nothing riding on that final game.
Oh, me too. That's gonna be a wreck. Yeah, I think that's like the one fun part about having Pro Rel is that the 17th, 18 game is actually exciting and fun.
But I mean, like, what am I saying? Because if something is riding on it, it means we've literally won like 7 out of 8 of those games at least, or 6 out of 7 of those other games.
Yeah,
and now we're waiting to see if, and so like, of course I would take that, but I can't imagine a more stressful scenario. And I mean, really would set you up for a fall if you've just watched your team win 6 out of 7 games.
Yeah,
you're gonna feel pretty confident going into that Burnley game.
Yeah, that would be a good final.
The first of those games is against Brentford away, where we've had mixed results. I mean, we've had a couple very good wins and a couple not so good performances. And I think one of Diego Costa's like only actual red cards he had such a reputation as a bruiser, and yet it was like, I remember when he got that red card, it was like the 3rd in his whole career or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brentford versus Wolves, that's on Monday, March 16th, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Put EST here. Naughty me, because I have to be like so good on these time zone things.
Yeah, the running Fort Lauderdale time zone joke. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. On USA. That's right. Yeah, I forgot. This would have been in our extra section. We'll delay the preview for a second. Of course, we are now in the twilight zone, where the US has now jumped forward, but the UK has not. So the distance between the games is now only 4 hours. So we're all on Fort Lauderdale time and Fort Lauderdale on Azores time. I don't know. Shout out to our friends on the West Coast, who I guess get a slight reprieve on some of these early games. But to that point, it's another weekday game, 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Can Wolves get a break on this? Not that I need to be like breaking meetings or whatever to watch Wolves team, but I'm ready for a weekend game.
Yeah, we haven't been able to do a meetup in Charlotte forever because all the games are on like Tuesday afternoons. We gotta go to work.
Ridiculous. Yeah, I know. We're supposed to. A couple friends wanted to meet up for the Leeds game. I have a Leeds friend. I don't know if I'll invite him. But yeah, I have to see about that. But yeah. So Brentford are in 7th place right now. And having a pretty good season despite a somewhat rocky start and predictions that they would struggle. So as we just talked about, as the table stands, this is our highest ranked opponent through the end of the season. Everyone else that we play is lower on the table than them. In fact, I think everyone else we play might be in the bottom half of the table. Is that true?
I think so.
Look it up. But I don't know. How do you see this playing out? Are we going back to the previous lineup? Is Mane going to play another 90 minutes?
Yeah. He's going to play another 90 minutes. It seems like Rob Owers is pretty settled on his actual top 11 when there's not multiple games in a week, and I think we'll probably go back to that. So be your normal. Keeps doing Chacho. Zach Chacho's been doing a little better lately. Don't enjoy him, but he's been less infuriating, which has been nice. But yeah, I mean, like I think across the board it'll probably be this lineup we were seeing before the double game week.
I guess the question is, for me, does Tolu start?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, whether you do Armstrong.
And if he does, is it with Armstrong or instead of Armstrong?
Yeah, that's probably the main variable I was thinking through too.
What do you go for if it's Brian Edwards?
Between the two, I think Armstrong's been in better form. He's not exactly scoring goals, but he's been getting in better spots and doing a bit more with it. And his front pressing is better than Tolu's. So I'd probably go with him ahead of Tolu, which still seems weird because it's Adam Armstrong. But I think at this very moment, I feel a little more confident in Adam Armstrong being able to facilitate around other people than necessarily Tolu just taking one on his own, because we're not really getting a lot of big guy stuff happening. Like Chacho is doing a little better at getting around the outside if we can, and actually putting crosses in. So maybe see more of that in training. Do that, but probably
yeah. I think that who was it? Maybe it was on the new Judah and Spears podcast. They were talking about how you have this problem with Chacho and Tolu both starting, where neither of them really have the quality, to trap and play the ball. They, like combining them together, they just they kind of they can't feed each other. Tolu had a really great forward pass for Rodrigo's first goal against Liverpool. And he can do that kind of thing, reliably well, where he's kind of pinning a center back and then has a big space to release the ball into or drive into or whatever. But if he's under pressure, a lot of times, like Chacho, the ball's coming back.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah,
Todd DeWitt thinks that Tolu starts without Armstrong. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's that time. Predictions.
Prediction time.
Yep. I don't have the standing. Josh is running away with it. I can't remember. I did predict that we would lose, but it was losing on penalties, so I don't know how that counts. Yeah. Anyway, who knows where the guest spot is? We're all doing terribly because we keep thinking that Wolves might win, and then they don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alex has sent in his prediction of 2-1 to Brentford.
Okay.
Josh is keeping the dream alive, says 2-0 Wolves. So what say you, Brian Donnelly?
I think I actually have a good feeling. Brentford's been on a little bit of a poor run. They lost to West Ham. They almost lost to Burnley. They lost to Brighton in their last couple matches. And I think if we can get a result here, it'll keep the fires warm for a while. I'm a little concerned about actually scoring 2 goals. We'll go 1-1. 1-1 draw.
Love it. I was too busy putting together the show notes to think about what I was actually going to say here. So this is going to be a complete surprise to me too. I don't know. I think I'm generally pessimistic about going there and getting a result. And yet something in me says that the players are going to, like you said, they've had a decent little rest. And I think that they will, try to build themselves up to, this is 8 cup finals, and they're going to try to play it that way. I know that 1-0 doesn't sound overly optimistic, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 Wolves win. I think that our energy on the 8 cup finals peters out well before the 8th game. But maybe this is the one that actually feels like we're fighting for a cup final.
Yeah.
So 1-0 Wolves. Todd says 2-1 to the Bees. So he's going with Alex. And we will all find out on Monday during our meetings, or I don't know, during our fake dentist appointments, if you're still trying to do that kind of thing. All right. Moving on to questions. Best part of the show where you, the listener, can ask anything about the wonderful club that is Wolverhampton Wanderers. You can email us at wholelotofwolves@gmail.com or reach us at x/Twitter at WLWpod. If you're watching us right now in the stream, of course, you can always put your questions in the chat. I see Todd's in there, but he already sent in his questions. So let's start with him. How many yellow cards will Mosquera get in the championship?
Oh, we have to back out the games he's suspended for the yellow cards and the various red cards. 15.
Yeah. I think that he's 1 or 2 yellow cards away from a suspension in this season right now. I think it's after the I'm going to get this wrong.
Yeah.
The 19th game? No. Like when does the first limit is 19th game, and I can't remember when the second limit goes up, or is it just through the end of the season? So yeah, I think it's through the end of the season. So he's probably going to get suspended at some point for accumulation of yellows. Luckily, not for this game. Todd says easy double digits. I think that's probably true. What'd you say? 15?
Yeah.
I think I will hedge slightly and say something like maybe 10 or 11, because hopefully we will have more possession and his services will not be as needed, at least not in that sense.
Oh, if we have more possession, how many goals is he going to get? What was in the first Liverpool game? He wanted that goal that Rodrigo got so bad. But I saw those shirts running through, and all of a sudden I'm like, is that Mosquera? What are you doing?
Goals for Mosquera next season. Easy double digits. That would be amazing. I mean, he's still any player on the team currently is in the running for top scorer this season.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored a single goal, but it doesn't matter. If he scores 4 goals, he's in the lead.
Who's our leader? Oh, are we talking all comp leader or league leader? Because is it all comp? Is league leader 3?
League Rodrigo. He currently has 3 goals.
Okay.
Drew says 0 yellows for Yerson because he's gone.
Aww.
I think that's a possibility. That one's harder to call. I want him to stay around just because he's one of the only really fun players on our team. But yeah, for me, I'm not quite sure on that yet. All right, Todd also asks, and this is kind of a leftover from last one when we ran out of time, but Wolves are down 3-1 after the first half. Which celebrity chef would you bring in to give the team talk to inspire the team to pull out a win?
I'm going to struggle here because I don't really know anything about celebrity chefs.
I feel like Todd knows something about celebrity chefs. That's why he asked.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I know is Gordon Ramsay to yell at him. But when he sent me this question earlier, my first thought was like, well, I don't know about chefs, but like if after the game, go have him hang out with Stanley Tucci. You win, you're going to have a blast. You'll lose, you're going to put your arm around you, and he's going to tell you it's okay, and you're going to feel better. So Stanley Tucci. Not technically a chef, but I think he'd be a good dinner hang.
He learned to cook reasonably well for Big Night, which is, by the way, one of my favorite movies. You know, this has been a great reprieve, not having Josh on, because I'm not getting yelled at for movies I haven't watched. So instead, I'm going to talk about an art house film that I have watched, which is one of my favorites. It's Big Night with Stanley Tucci and Tony Shalhoub. Minnie Driver, Isabella Rossellini, Ian Holm, a very young Minnie Driver. Super fun. Great movie. Inspired by classic Italian cinema. Todd's seen it. He says such a good movie. I feel so about Stanley Tucci, the man himself, but I still accept the answer. I'm going to go with Jose Andres, mostly just because he's a guy I have a lot of. Does he count as a celebrity? I guess. I don't think he's really ever had like a big show, but he's fairly well known for his philanthropy and like doing, I think it's called World Central Kitchen, which provides meals around natural disasters and whatnot. He's pretty outspoken politically too, does stuff in the Middle East. He also did some stuff with DC United, which is probably how I started to to know who he was, because he's sort of made his name on the DC scene. And honestly, if pupusas are part of the team talk, then I think we're probably winning.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
I will die on the hill that pupusas are the best stadium food. Unfortunately, I don't live in a place that's likely to happen, except for DC United, and good Lord, the cost of them now.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on. Producer Alex sends us this question. Which Premier League fixture will you be happiest to not have to watch Wolves play next season? And which Premier League fixture will you miss the most? This is somewhat inspired by the current crop of Champions League games, obviously.
Yeah.
Just having to watch City and Real Madrid play for the millionth time or whatever. So yeah, which one are you going to miss and which one not so much?
That's a good question. What am I going to miss? I'm going to miss the Villa matches because those are always fun. It's a good, considering it's not like a big local rivalry as the same way as West Brom is. It's still always a good atmosphere, and they're always a good rivalry on that one. I'll miss that one. The one I'm going to be okay not watching anymore. Forest. I don't like Forest. I don't like Forest.
Yeah, it's funny when I look up and down the table. There's like a bunch of teams where I think like we never win there, and then I also like have some connection to it. Like I have a friend who supports Palace for who knows what reason, and so it's like that's an easy one for me because like never win at Selhurst.
That's true. That's a good one. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I kind of like it because I like the banter with my friend. It'll be nice to not constantly end up on the losing side of that. I don't know. I mean, like. Is it a boring answer to just say City because like it's such a fait accompli that like going to the Etihad? I know we love to repost the videos of Adama's double and whatever, but it's been so long. I just like I don't know. I don't love it. I don't know. Those are ones can get in the bin for all I care. Newcastle's another one. I don't need any more games against Newcastle
or Arsenal.
Yeah, Todd says Arsenal. He might miss Fulham.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for Fulham. They're always a good time. There was some fun American players on them, and
yeah, I'd say that the one I'll probably miss the most is Spurs, just because I think that it's fun when you have another team's number. I think for the same reason, Aston Villa is a good one, and that has been especially fun this year, and I guess last year too, where they've been so much better than us, and yet somehow we still have their number, and that's a really fun dynamic. Now, who knows? We might actually not be getting rid of the Spurs fixture, so maybe shouldn't be too soon. Let's go back to the relegation. What are the chances Spurs go down?
Let's see. Again, according to Opta has them at 17.67%.
Yeah.
That's almost a 1 in 5.
Yeah.
That's I know Josh has said like if they go down, they're gonna spend like $1 billion to get out of it, which is fine, because can you imagine seeing Lincoln City away at Tottenham Hotspur? I would eat that up so much. I would love it. I would love it so much to see Spurs go down. It'd be hilarious. I don't have anything against Spurs. Like I don't like Man U. Don't like them. But Spurs are like, they're like for the big six clubs. Like I'm kind of milquetoast on it, but it would be hilarious to see a big six club get dragged into it.
I know. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago. It was during COVID in the FA Cup. I remember them going to Marine FC. I think that's up near Liverpool, and just like I think they were in the 6th tier or something, and to see Jose Mourinho, on this corrugated metal bench out there with people hanging out of their windows watching was something special, and I would love to see more of that. Like they might spend a ton of money, but if they do, we're gonna get to see actual good footballers who should be playing in top teams in Europe. You'll have to go to all these grounds, and it's going to be great.
Who else is in there right now?
On a separate group chat, Stu from the Fancast and I often send clips back and forth about the I don't know if you'd call him an influencer, content maker for Spurs, Expressions, who has a real quick wit and has lots to say about his team that's doing so poorly. And I debate whether we'll lose him or not if they go down. I mean, like this season is like taking a seriously dark toll on him. I wouldn't say I delight in other people's pain, but it makes me feel better about my pain.
That's fair. Yeah. I certainly can't argue with that.
All right. Let's see. We also have questions from Drew Freakin on X. That's Drew Breyer from Pittsburgh, friend of the show. So let's start with this one. Assuming Wolves are in the championship next season, keep one, loan one, sell one, Krejci, Mane, Hugo Bueno. So keep, loan, sell of Krejci, Mane, and Hugo Bueno.
That one felt pretty straightforward to me. Keep Mane, sell Hugo, loan Krejci. Because Krejci we just bought for like, was it 25, 26? So it's going to cost a fortune to get rid of him. You probably can't get that for him if you're trying to fire sell him. So you can loan him out, hope he does somewhere else, and then sell him next year. Hugo's an academy kid, and there's going to be demand. You might get 20 for him, and keep Mane.
Interesting. I don't know that I'm advocating for them selling Mane. In fact, I know that I'm not. But I will say that like the furor around a young player who has had like a moment in the spotlight and who is potentially at England international in the future. I think someone put out recently that his value on Transfermarkt is now at like 20 million euros. And if he scores another couple of goals before the end of the season, I just wonder if you can get an amount of money for him that makes it seem like, well, we can get 2 or 3 very good championship players out of that. Like,
that's what I was thinking for the Hugo part, but I understand what you mean. You're like, what if this is the Wang 2023 season? Like,
yeah,
what? No, I say this is the high water mark, but like, what if he's not amazing? There was like, going to catch the championship. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. I still firmly think that like a season with us in the championship, assuming the team is, reasonably well put together, is better for his career in the long run. But a lot of players don't take that route. And like we saw with Tyler Dibbling going from Southampton to Everton, it hasn't really worked out in that way. But it's just like, it's a player who had a good moment, and some team that is mid-table-ish will say, nope, we're taking that guy. like we're going to bank on that. And then, maybe his career languishes, but I wonder, if a team like Everton, they're a useful proxy probably, says like, yeah, we'll give you 35 for him. Are we turning that down?
35, probably not.
Yeah.
I think that would be a little too high to say no to. I would worry for him because he seems like a really ambitious kid.
Yeah.
That he wants to be at a big club. I would worry he would end up in the Chelsea player trading machine and get picked up by Chelsea and just sit in the secondary players locker room 4 hallways down from everybody else, or get loaned off to Strasbourg and then loaned off
be a Blue Co employee
to somewhere else and just kind of never be heard from again. Like so many players who go to Chelsea and they're like 80 player squad and then just kind of get shuttled around Europe for 10 years before they're like, oh yeah, he left on a free. Wait, he was a Chelsea player still? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like it's weird to be able to see the future in these things, but I hope not. I hope that he has a good career, and maybe even that it's with Wolves. I was interested to see the video that Dave Azzopardi put out. I think it was today or yesterday about Mane, and just like you worry that his like he gets tweets from Fabrizio Romano, and screw that guy. Like I like regret even mentioning his name on this podcast, but like the fact that guy is tweeting about Mateus Mane tells me something about his agent, and that's what makes me think we're not holding on to him regardless of the amount of money that people are asking for. So I don't know. It might be all said and done anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. We're going in ascending order of silliness from Drew here. Today I said he didn't cover himself in glory at work. I've also used Masterclass more than I ever have prior to watching EPL. What are some British phrases you now use that you can directly derive from your soccer fandom?
Every time I don't like my boss is doing it, I scream, 4-4-2! No, seriously, there actually were a couple. I had to think about this because you don't realize you say them when you're saying them. And then I saw them when I was looking up a couple, and I was like, oh, I totally say that. Like, oh, that might be a banana skin. I say that all the time. I do daily reporting. So we have a compressed deadline to get things out by 5 p.m., which has not happened today. I actually have to go work after this to finish things, which sucks, but separate matter. Squeaky bum time. I've said that at the office because we're approaching that 5 p.m. window.
Wow.
I also deal with a lot of modelers, like technology people and people who build models. I very much enjoy referring to them as boffins, even though that's not a soccer thing, but I do enjoy that one. Those are the ones I can quickly think of.
Wow, you have way better answers than me, and I don't know. It's funny. This is a talking point we almost went over a week or two ago when Joe Deluski was with us, and he's used the pronunciation Derby for the Wolves instead of Derby. Yeah. And that's one that I've been like trying to detrain myself for. Like, I don't know, maybe it's partly just like I don't want to be a poser, basically. Yeah. But it's like I picked up the Derby thing immediately. But then after hearing Rebecca Lowe talk about the Kentucky Derby a bunch, I was like, yeah, why am I doing this? This is just a different pronunciation of a word that we already have. Like, it's not like a different word.
Is that just saying football rather than soccer?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is like, I'm not going to be embarrassed about saying soccer, like it's what we call it. And you know what? They gave us that word. And it's a stupid word. It's their stupid word. But yeah, I don't know that I've like used in conversation a lot of those things, except for the ones that are like more applicable. I've definitely not done a, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Oh, actually, I say that all the time. Didn't even know that was a British one. Did not know there was a British one.
Yeah, I do take note every time I refer to a different team as like that football club, like the way that like in interviews with players, they will just say like, there's such a great football club. It's like almost like calling someone by their first and last name, like where it becomes more serious. You can't just say like, oh yeah, that's a well-run club.
Yeah,
it's a great football club.
Yeah, it's like the Ohio State type of situation.
Yes, the Ohio State. I'm kind of going through in my head like a list of them. I've never done like said a schoolboy error or something, but I can imagine the right scenario for that.
I now need to start thinking of good ones to start putting into my work meetings. Like now, this one I thought of next time someone's all over the shop. I have used that one. I like that one.
I've probably used all over the shop before.
I like all at 6s and 7s. Haven't used that one yet, but I'm gonna have to now. But now with the whole
and it's making a comeback now.
That one might not work out, but we don't have like kids at schools or kids at work, so that probably won't matter as much. Where's the other good ones? All over the shop's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into this kind of thing, I always strongly recommend the Football Cliches podcast. It's one of my favorite, as I'm sure no one will be surprised, a podcast about football and language, but they go over all this stuff in excruciating detail. One that I always remember, and this isn't a British thing, but they were playing like a bit of Italian commentary from a goal that came from a free kick. It went right in the top corner. And they were playing like the call from the commentator and asking the panelists, like, what do you think they said? And, like a language that you vaguely can understand a word or two, you're like trying to guess, like, what do Italians call this? Yeah. And it's like, it was something like where the owl roosts or something. It's like, oh yeah, I could see that. Like that's where the owl would live. I mean, if it were up there, yeah. Or where grandma keeps the jam jars.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. I'm
That feels
definitely
like
gonna
a
check this
classic
one out.
Italian thing
Yeah.
to relate it to food and grandmothers.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that out because I do love being wildly pedantic. So that will be to my wife's chagrin and misery. I do enjoy
Oh,
a bit
you
of
you will love
pedantry.
that
I will
podcast.
love that one. Between that one and the Total Football Show, which has a lot of, or Total Soccer Show, which is more American, which has a lot of pedanticness about soccer, and then Effectively Wild, which is a baseball one, which is all about being wildly pedantic about
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to throw in a bit of both at some point, but it's just never come up. I'll have to look for a time to use bit of
Yeah.
both. That feels classic. All right, final one. You get to choose. One wins the Ballon d'Or, one wins the Champions League with his current team, but has 0 goal contributions. And one you get to punch in the face. Cunha, Neto, Mateus Nunes.
See, I feel
The
like this was
options
teed
there are
up.
convoluted.
Yeah. The options are convoluted because I feel like this is 100% teed up just about punching Mateus Nunes. Because
you know, yeah.
Neto's going to probably win the Champions League without a goal contribution anyway.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, well, that's just numbers too. I mean, he is starting these days, but there's so many players for Chelsea. I could very well believe that, he would, if they won the Champions League, he would have 0 goal contributions. That's entirely possible.
If Chelsea does that, they've won the Champions League multiple times. They're not that distant history, so they could probably do it again.
But this isn't predictions. This is what do you want to happen?
What do I want to happen? I think that one was probably it. So it was probably Neto for that one, for the Champions League one. I don't like Nunes, so I'll punch Nunes, which I guess leaves Cunha for Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. I would say of the three of them, I like Neto the most. I know Alex has had some beef about Neto's celebrations. Neto would celebrate like he carried the team, says Todd.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's definitely true. And so like I don't mind him winning Ballon d'Or. Like he's a sweet boy. It feels like I can live with that, I think it would hurt Cunha quite a bit to win the Champions League contributions. You know that his arms would be flailing the entire time.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So I think I'd have to go with that one. That one would be kind of sweet. It would be a pretty big shock for Manchester United to win the Champions League.
That was also part of the reason why I couldn't say that one, because I would not want Manchester United to win the Champions League.
I know it's hard to marry that one up with the actual reality.
Yeah.
And I guess that just leaves punching Nunes in the face, although it doesn't really make a ton of difference with the guy's face. But anyway, I'm not a violent person. I don't need to punch anyone in the face. All right. Well, that wraps up No Stupid Questions. And remember, of course, that you can always reach us between episodes at wholelottaWolves@gmail.com. And to that point, as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, if you're part of a local supporters group, anywhere in North America, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop us a line, wholelottawolves@gmail.com. Or DM me, DM Josh, DM the show on Twitter, whatever. All right, Brian, remind folks where they can find you online and where and when you can meet up with Charlotte Wolves.
Yeah, sure.
If we ever have a non-weekday game.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out. We haven't got another meetup on the calendar yet, but we will have to get one of the next couple weekend ones to get one. But if you're in town or in the Carolinas itself, at Wolves Charlotte for Twitter and Instagram, on the Facebook Wolves USA page as Brian Donnelly, or you can go on the Worldwide Wolves site and look for Charlotte Wolves. Probably the easiest way.
And you guys have a pretty regular spot when you do meet up, right?
Yeah, we do. I haven't been there in a while though, so we'll have to go back there because the calendar's been so bad.
That's great.
Yeah, it's called.
All right, I'm throwing in one more question because I'm throwing in one more question because I didn't notice it in the chat before.
Hmm.
What's Brian's watch of the week? We still don't have our Paramount Plus watch of the week because we don't know with all the various mergers and whatever
Yes.
where the championship's actually going to be shown.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be constrained to Paramount Plus or HBO
Okay.
Max or whatever. What's your watch of the week?
Because I don't have Paramount. I don't have Paramount right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, next year we'll get Paramount. What has been? My wife's been very into the new season of Outlander. She's been very excited about that. So we've been watching that, and I've actually been enjoying Paradise on Hulu. That's my watch of the week.
All right, great.
Post-apocalyptic show.
You heard it here. There's your watch of the week. It might, it might be on the platform that the championship is on next year. Who knows? We'll find out eventually. All right. And just to wrap things up, of course, thanks to Alex producing. And we are going to be back on the night that the Brentford game happens. So that's Monday night. And then at some point after that during the international break, because who knows, like Brian said, we have like a month off. So you'd be doing us a huge favor to help grow the Whole Lot of Wolves family by giving us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Hit the like button on YouTube, subscribe to the channels, subscribe to everything, subscribe to Brian, go visit Brian in Charlotte. And as, of course, our podfather emeritus Paul would say, up the mighty Wolves.